Hello, friends. My book is launching. It's launched. It is out today. I can hardly believe it is real. It's mind blowing. It kind of reminds me of my wedding. I spent like a year planning it. Then it was finally the day, and my brain was like, no, this is something like we prepare for, but we don't actually ever do it. And then, like, bam, it was over. And I'm glad I had photos taken because it was a bit of a blur. Pleasant blur, but still. That is a good reminder. I should take a bunch of videos and photographs in the next several weeks so I can look back on this later and be like, oh, yeah, that's what it was like. Okay, time for the theme song. Welcome to the Jacqui Just Chatters podcast because every story deserves its spotlight. Whether you are new here or a repeat visitor, I'm happy you've joined me today. If this is your first time listening, this is usually a storytelling podcast in which whimsical tales are shared in every episode, full of humor, hearts, and possibly inspiration. Today is going to focus on my new book, The Daphne Project. I want to make clear that I do write my podcast and my books. There's like no chat GPT or crap like that. But I felt this episode needed another person. So I'm joined today by Simon. Say hello, Simon.
Greetings, listeners of the Jacqui Just Chatters podcast. I am an AI-created voice, but every word I say has been written by Jacqui, even what I'm saying right now. She just doesn't want to sound like a dork talking about her book all by herself. So she is using this fake voice to talk to herself. Seriously, this is just as dorky, if not more. But you have to admit, my English accent is lush, and who wouldn't want to talk to me?
Seriously, that accent is wonderful. When I heard his voice from all the choices that I had, I knew it had to be him.
Thank you, Jacqui. I am honored you selected me from all the options available. I will try not to let you down.
Isn't he so sweet? Simon, I believe you have some questions for me.
I have several questions I would like to put to you.
Okay, then, let's get started.
What is your favorite color?
Blue? But what does that have to do with the book?
What was the name of your childhood pet?
Simon, I really don't think that's relevant.
What is your grandmother's maiden name?
Okay, these questions are ridiculous and not the ones I wanted you to ask. Where are these coming from?
I got a message from a Nigerian prince who needs my help, which I can provide by getting answers to a few questions. I'm a thoughtful and kind AI voice.
I'm very pro kindness, but it's a scam.
Well, don't I feel foolish now?
Don't feel bad about it. It happens to a lot of people, and you're just an AI voice. I mean, AI can't even figure out that humans usually don't have more than 5 fingers or that feet should not come out of people's arms.
Fair point. Then I will ask you what your book, The Daphne Project, is about.
Much better. It is a story of a librarian whose life is in the crapper. Her ex fiance cheated on her, then she lost her job and ended up moving back in with her parents. Yuck. As she is wallowing in her misery, she unexpectedly inherits her estranged great aunt's house in Maine.
That should help her a bit, but I have the feeling things are more complicated than they seem.
You're correct. Daphne hasn't seen her aunt since she spent the summer with her as a child, but that was 20 years ago, and there hadn't been any contact after that visit. Going to the small town of Cobb, Maine, Daphne starts to remember that summer and now has lots of questions about her aunt and especially her aunt's suicide. She isn't so sure the death is as clear cut as it seems.
So what does Daphne do?
She starts learning more about her aunt and herself in the process. Daphne makes some new friends and dips her toe into the dating pool again.
What happens at the end?
I'm not giving any spoilers here. People will have to read the book to find out.
Where can they get the book?
If they are in Southeast Michigan, they can come to my author signing at Barnes Nobles in Shelby Township. It's on August 2nd from 1 till 3 p.m. I have full details in the episode notes and on my website.
What if they can't be there?
My book is also available at the Mockingbird Bookshop in Bath, Maine, or they can check out Sherman's Maine Coast Bookshop in their various locations.
What if they are not in Maine?
They can order the book using my affiliate link at bookshop.org, which helps support indie bookshops. Love that. That will be in the episode notes as well, the link for that. Alternatively, they can find it on Amazon, where they can also order the ebook.
You've given them lots of options.
Thank you. I try to be helpful.
Excellent. Now that you've answered questions about the Daphne Project, it's time for the story.
I don't have a story. This episode was just to share about my book.
You advertise this podcast as whimsical with storytelling, so tell your listeners a story.
You're getting pretty pushy for a voice.
You are contractually obligated to include a story. You don't want people to sue you, do you?
Well, what kind of story should I tell?
That is up to you. But since it's summer and you just got back from a vacation, why not tell a vacation story?
I've got a good one for that. I call this the best souvenir. In 1984, my family took a trip from Michigan to Washington State, specifically to the Seattle area. My parents loaded up the Trans van. Think slightly larger than a standard van crossed with an RV, and put us three kids in the back and drive west. This was a seminal trip for my family. The only other extensive vacation we experienced was the time when I was like, I don't know, 5, 6, and our parents drove us out to the East Coast. Apparently, they do coast to coast, right? That was the time we ended up having to spend the night in a parking lot in Cape Cod on the 4th of July. Tip for you travelers: if you're going to Cape Cod around the 4th of July, make reservations ahead of time. But I digress. That's another story. There were plenty of tales to recall and mementos to look over, but one of my favorites was the photo of us kids surrounding the Continental Divide sign in Yellowstone Park. It's odd to think that it was only the adults who wore seatbelts on that trip and not us kids in the back. Seatbelts were optional back then. It was a different time. We did a whirlwind trip in Yellowstone Park, but the beauty and the awe of the landscape stuck with us forever. So much so that the year my sister Nikki graduated from college, my brother arranged to rent an RV so the three of us plus a friend could head back to the Sulphur Springs and watch the buffalo roam. My sister eventually got married and had two brilliant kids. Nikki longed to share with them the wonder of Yellowstone that we already knew. In the summer of 2017, the dream became a reality. My husband and I joined them, along with several friends, to have an epic adventure. We formed a small convoy of 9 people spread out across 3 vehicles. In honor of this momentous trip, group t-shirts were selected and purchased beforehand. Nikki and I both knew what we wanted to do with those shirts. Get a photo of all of us in our matching tops standing around that Continental Divide sign, reliving the past, thus paying homage to the trip that started our love affair with the park. I annoyed everyone for weeks prior with my talk about doing this picture. I was annoying. Texts and calls were made to ensure everyone had their shirt before we left. Check. Got everyone together and drove into the park from the northern entrance. Check. After spending 2 days in the north inspecting the hot springs and having a park-led sightseeing adventure, oh, I so recommend doing those, we decamped from our hotel and headed south to stay at the Yellowstone Hotel for 2 nights. Before we left the area, my sister and friend from the college trip were sure that we must have missed the sign for the Continental Divide. They were certain we had gone past the dividing line. I protested heavily. I remembered the sign being further into the park. A general vote was held by the whole collective, and I lost. A decision was made by the rest of the group to put on our matching shirts and take a photo by the large arch that you go through when you're passing into the park. I grumbled the whole time. They were mistaken, but I put on my shirts, followed by a half an hour photo shoot to get the perfect shot. And the trip continued, and we oohed and awed over the wonder of nature. It is stunning. A day or two later, as we drove deeper into the park, a large sign appeared on the right side of the road. Without a text or a phone call, all the vehicles automatically pulled over into the small parking area with no communication. My sister hopped out of her minivan, and with hunched shoulders, she looked at the ground and trudged towards my SUV. I jumped out as quickly as a jackrabbit. She looked up at me with her eyes that were sad and her face so miserable, silently urging me to have mercy on her. I was ready to drink glory from the cup of victory. With a triumphant grin, I marched her and everyone forward to the Continental Divide sign. The marker was in the park, waiting for us to drive by, as I had assured them from the beginning. We took plenty of photos, and I made sure to get one with just my sister and me. She apologized for being wrong and ruining my dream of the image with our matching shirts. I did not get the picture I was hoping for, but I walked away with an even more precious souvenir. I was right, she was wrong, and I got to say, I told you so. You can't buy a souvenir like that.
You know how I said you had to share a story?
Yeah,
I may have been hasty.
rude. Well, if any of you listeners think you can do better, I would love to read your stories. Go to my website on my podcast page and learn about how you could have your story read on the show.
What is coming next on the podcast?
In September, season 4 begins. It will be full of small wins, bizarre news stories, and short stories that are not written by me.
Well done. Now it's time for you to say goodbye to everyone.
Thanks for listening. A special shout out to my UK listeners. Glad to have you along for the ride. Until next time, I wish you well.